I think rejection is a part of anything created. That is just the nature of being a creative person. You can be in any kind of art form, you have to be ready to be rejected. And the new generation is just full of confidence. I said talent ho nahi ho, confidence bhar bhar ke in bachchon mein. A lot of Westerners actually ended up imbibing a lot of our philosophies. Yep. And repackaging them and selling them back to us, and I'm like, but ये तो Indian है, ये तो Chinese है,
ये तो हम हजारों सालों से कर रहे हैं. Welcome to Seeds of Soul. Today we are thrilled to welcome Shruti, a mom, a TV presenter, actor, wellness coach, and a yoga enthusiast. She truly wears many hats. Shruti goes beyond the glamour and glitz and advocates for mental health in the entertainment industry. So join me in welcoming Shruti. Thank you so much, Shruti. Thank you for
so
joining
much.
us on Seeds of Soul.
Thank you for
It's
having
truly
me.
a pleasure and honor to have you here.
Thank you.
I would just like to start our conversation by introducing you as a fellow mom.
Thank you.
So you said that you have a 9-year-old daughter, right?
Yes, I do.
And so how has motherhood impacted your perspective as an actor in the entertainment industry?
Well, honestly, I think my daughter really pushed me to go a little beyond my career, my aspirations, my ambitions, and to be honest, she's the reason I very deeply dived into the entire process of self-inquiry. I remember when I got pregnant, I was very clear that there are a lot of things about me that are less than perfect, far from perfect, and I was very keen to sort of address those issues, and I wanted to try and find a way to be a better person for my child. So I think forget my career as an actor and as a TV presenter. I think my daughter is responsible for helping me wanting to become a better person.
That's so truly put. I think that, as they say that, when a child is born, also a mother is born.
Absolutely.
So moving on from that topic, I would like to now talk about your career. So, I would like to say that, that Shararat was my absolute favorite show when I was younger, and it's an honor to have you sit here and me having the privilege of interviewing you. So starting from there, the entertainment industry is fraught with many ups and downs. Okay, so I'm sure that the era that when Shararat was around, it was also at the cusp of a certain change.
Yes.
Correct. So where certain stereotypes in the TV serials were being pushed forward. So and I can say that you did not fall for those stereotypes, and you decided to stay firm on the kind of work that you wanted. How was it difficult? Was it a difficult decision for you to take and stick by it?
Oh well, I would say that. I was just very lucky that I got offered certain parts that were different from that particular era, and let's not forget that era was very popular. It gave Indian television some of its most iconic characters, and clearly they sort of struck a chord somewhere because they were hugely popular, they were
Correct.
Very watched, and for years and years and years on end. So obviously they were doing something right. I think yes, at face value they seemed problematic, and I think a lot of people thought that television was becoming very regressive, which maybe it was. I don't think I'm in a position to pass judgment on that. Also because there is not just one kind of audience, but I do think that there is some merit in offering something familiar to people just to sort of lure them in and then give them an opportunity to have another idea.
Correct.
So if I tell you that, oh my God, this is like, you're so, this is so regressive, I've already judged you. You're like, okay, I don't need to talk to this person. She's
Correct.
judging me. But if I say, okay, let's sit in a room together and let's view, can this be different? Can it be better? Would you like it to be better? The moment you include people in a conversation is when you have the opportunity to actually hope that it may change their mind. But if I
Absolutely.
tell you that I think your thinking is so deeply regressive, or oh my God, what is this rubbish you're watching, or what is this rubbish you're making? Nobody likes to be judged. I'm like,
Absolutely, yes.
who died and made you king and tell me how if I like something, I like something. But when you make people examine what they're watching, saying, you really think this is right? The person is forced to think.
Correct.
As for me, I would say, I landed Shararat, which pretty much consumed my life. It was a great character. The whole setup of the family was very against what television was advocating at that point. So it was almost rebellious,
Absolutely,
as a show,
yes.
because there were 3 women. My Nani lived with us, she was this nasty little naughty thing giving my father a hard time.
Yeah.
And I think we tried to make things hopefully empowering in their own way.
Correct.
Without looking down upon anyone, without judging anyone. We just presented that, okay, there are multiple worlds.
There are multiple outlooks that can be explored, right?
Having said that, like I said, the kind of television that was popular in those times, they were a lot more successful than us, a lot more popular than us, because they were 5 nights a week, we were once a week. So just by the ratio of the number of days they had over us, those characters became a lot more popular.
And maybe because they pandered to a certain stereotypical.
Again, I don't want to say the word pander. I would just say that they addressed a large majority. Shararat was largely a kids show. It had magic. It was essentially kids programming, catered to an entire family's viewership.
Correct.
So it was amazing, because even back then, I remember, and we're talking year 2003, which is nearly now 20 years ago.
Correct.
I remember parents coming and saying, oh my God, our Friday nights are ruined because of you. Our children won't let us leave home because they're like, Shararat aayega, Shararat aayega. I had grandparents telling me how much, they got to watch a show along with their grandkids. It was a very, very adorable bonding exercise for the family.
Correct,
And I
correct.
think because of that, it had such a positive association, and it became such a lovely core memory for so many kids in that generation, that the kind of love I get for it even today, it doesn't feel like it's been 20 years. I feel Shararat is still alive and still breathing, and it's still on Hotstar, so you can still watch it. And it's amazing how strangely relevant it is today even. It doesn't feel
Yes.
dated at all, because it was just a magic show, and
Correct,
magic
but-
never becomes old.
Correct.
Right?
And I think that the topics that it brought forth was something that is evergreen, and it is ever relevant. And yes, it needs much discussion today. So coming back to the topic, how have you handled the highs and lows of the industry? I'm sure that rejection is a very much a part of the industry that you are associated with.
So I think rejection is a part of anything creative. That is just the nature of being a creative person. You can be in any kind of art form. You have to be ready to be rejected, because it's so subjective, and it's really up to the whole idea of beauty is in the eye of the beholder, that you can't make something that's going to appeal to everyone.
Correct.
So it may appeal to some, and it may really, really piss a lot of people off. So you have to be ready to say, okay, I'll take the flowers and I'll take the brickbats with the same amount of grace. But I think what really helped me, to be honest, is my mum. I think I will give all the credit to my upbringing and the way my parents sort of made me deal with the transition of being someone who was not famous to becoming someone who became very famous, to being someone who was out of work, to being someone who had lots of work. So my life's just been, it's ebbed and flowed. And I think what's really helped me, and I would give a lot of credit also to the fact that I'm a I'm a Bombay bred child. So I never left my comfort zone to come and make something of my life. I lived with my parents. I had the comfort of home. I lived rent free. I didn't have to make ends meet, so to speak. So I think just having the comfort of a family and the support system of a family made my choices a lot easier compared to a lot of my contemporaries, because they had left their homes and come to Bombay to make a life. And when you've taken such a big step, failure is not an option. Sadly.
Correct.
Though failure should always be an option. I'm a huge advocate of failure. But I think for me, what worked is that even when I became very popular, my parents nailed my feet to the ground. They would not let them levitate even for a second. I was not allowed to get my head into the clouds. My parents kept me very, very grounded. And sometimes I used to get upset because I said, it would be nice to have your parents acknowledge that
You have achieved a
something.
certain excess, yes.
But I am so glad that they didn't, because they said our love for you is not conditional. It doesn't come attached to what your ambitions or your achievements are. We're going to love you regardless. And that was I see it in hindsight as such a blessing, because I realized that because my parents did not let my success go to my head, my failures didn't hurt me as badly. So on the days that I did not get the same kind of love, adulation, work, money, success, I carried it just as lightly as I did my success, my money, my popularity, and all that went with it.
Wow. So, certain wisdoms are time tested.
Yes.
And held across generations. Like you said that the upbringing that you gave to your daughter, you got from your mother. How have you taken those lessons and try to probably inculcate the same values into your daughter, because the pressures of the coming generations are way more intense than
it's
compared
funny,
to what we went through. Yes.
It's funny, I was just talking to my makeup artist, who obviously is like family to me, and we were all sitting at the table when I was getting my makeup done for the shoot, and my daughter was telling him, I'm very good at this, I'm really good at that, I'm so good. And I was just telling him, I said, look at us. After 25 years of working, I'm still full of doubt. When I sit in front of the camera, I'm like, oh my God, what if I stumble? What if I make a mess of what I'm
Correct.
supposed to say? I'm still so diffident. And the new generation is just full of confidence. And it's amazing. I said, talent ho nahi ho, confidence bhar bhar ke in bachon mein. But
That's so true.
having said that, it does, I wouldn't say worry me, because I don't think there's any reason for me to worry, but I'm fascinated to see how it will be received in the real world, because the world is a strange equalizer for all of us. We can all stand in front of the mirror and think we're great shakes, but the moment you have to step out that door, the world doesn't see you the same way that you see yourself.
You have to prove yourself.
And not even, you may even prove yourself. Like I said, I've lived my whole life accepting rejection.
Correct.
But I want to know that tomorrow, what if someone tells my daughter that, no, you're not. I'm really good at this. No, you're not. She's going to have to find a way to accept that. And I don't know how she'll deal with it. But again, the only thing that I am trying to give her, like the way my parents gave me, is the confidence of the love that she gets from me and my husband. We're going to love her no matter what. And she has to know that for the rest of her life, that we don't care what she does. I don't care if she's good at something. I don't care if she's bad at something. My love for her is I keep telling her this, that even when I'm most upset with you, or I'm angry that you've done something that is not right, or isn't good, or has hurt someone, I may be upset, I may reprimand you, but my love for you is never in question. At no point do I think I love her any less.
Absolutely.
And I think that love is a great weapon to give your kids, because I feel that I am everything I am today because of the love that I get from my family, and nothing can replace that. So I'm very particular that she recognize that the love she gets from her parents, from her grandparents, from her uncles and aunts, from all our friends, is a huge privilege, and she's not allowed to take that for granted. She can and she must know that it is never going to leave her, but you can't take it for granted. You have to acknowledge it, you have to treasure it, and you really, really have to be grateful that it's in your life. And that is the one thing I keep trying to tell her over and over again.
Wow. I think that's a wonderful message to give fellow parents. So you are a yoga enthusiast, and I am a sucker for your Instagram feed. I love all the yoga videos that you put out.
So I hate to say this. Just a friend of mine yesterday was making fun of me, and I said, I do yoga because I love it. She was like, no, you do yoga because you want to put it on Instagram and you want external validation. I said, yes, absolutely. I think
it doesn't kill if it's Instagram worthy also, and you've got the moves to show for it.
Let me please say that I absolutely love my yoga practice, and I'm ever so grateful to my yoga teacher Aoife Shroff and my current yoga teacher Rasha, and another yoga teacher Dinanath sir, who have held my hand through all these years of my practice, and they have taught me so much more than just asana practice, and I have hugely benefited from it in ways that I think I can't even explain or put in words. And one of the reasons why I like to put it out there is that I want more and more people to embrace it as a way of life, not as a workout. Because yoga is a lot more than just those moves that you do.
Instagram worthy poses.
Yes,
it goes beyond that.
Because I can put up the video, but I cannot put up the feeling, right?
Correct.
That is something you're going to have to experience and understand what it does once you do the practice, what it teaches you every time that you're on the mat, the lessons that it's teaching you. And it's weird, but I remember all my teachers, every time you're on a mat, the first thing they tell you is that your yoga practice is essentially you burning your bad karma. Because it's hard on your body.
Correct.
And it causes you discomfort, and that is your way of burning off bad karma. And to stand there and say, on some days I have a great practice, on some days I just cannot move. I'm so tired, or my body is feeling exhausted, and I'm resisting the practice. But in that moment, I'm learning something about myself, that there are good days and then there are bad days. There is no state is permanent.
Yes.
So you have to just keep doing, hoping that it will be a good day, and it may be a bad day, but then a good day will come again.
Yes.
So it's not just a yoga practice. I think it's a practice for life. It's more a life skill that I learn on my mat, and I've been doing it now for I don't even know how many years. I started practicing in 2007.
Oh, wow.
So it's been a long journey, and I've been a dancer, I've been an aerobic instructor, I've done strength training, I've done Tai Chi, I've dabbled in so many different kinds, Pilates, which I love, by the way. I've done so many various different physical training interventions, but nothing has
ever grounded as much.
It hasn't worked on at a cellular soul level the way yoga does. So, my asanas are less than perfect. There are a lot better people out there, but for me, it's just me, my teacher, and my mat. Beyond that, everything just disappears when I'm working on my mat. Like I really cannot explain it, but it's when I'm just the deepest part of myself.
The love for yoga and the love for yoga is actually showing through the way that you are describing your love, your asanas, and how the association with yoga. That brings forth the next topic, which is mental resilience.
Yes.
Okay, which I think, as you rightly said, is not required only in the creative field, but is a life skill that must be embraced.
Yes,
for everybody across genders, across age groups, okay, and across cultures. So, what are the steps that you would take on a daily basis to improve your mental resilience and to say that I am enough, and my place, I have my place in this world, and yes, I am a testament to my own struggles and growth.
So, okay, That's a slightly deep question, to be honest. Well, to start with, very recently, in the last 4 years, I've been studying. I've gone back to education, and I decided to dabble in various different interventions that have to do with mental wellness and mental resilience and mental health. And I think all those various different interventions that I have had are largely influenced by Eastern psychology to begin
Correct.
with. Having said that, I understand Western psychology. I am studying that currently. So I think the reason why I'm more drawn towards Eastern philosophy and psychology is because I feel it's very culturally relevant to us. Having said that, if you notice, a lot of Westerners actually ended up imbibing a lot of our philosophies
Yeah.
and repackaging them and selling them back to us. And I'm like, but ये तो Indian है, ये तो Chinese है,
ये तो हम हजारों सालों से कर रहे हैं.
पर हमें अपनी वो घर की मुर्गी दाल बराबर वाला problem है ना. Then when you have it with you, you don't. Yoga became so popular because the Westerners adopted it.
Correct, because
Right?
they endorsed it.
Because they said, oh yes, this makes sense. Likewise, one of the things that I learned very recently, I just come back last year from a teacher's training from Oxford in mindfulness meditation. And if you ask me the one thing that I feel that builds my resilience, it has to be mindfulness meditation. And the moment you say the word meditation, people tend to get a little like, अरे नहीं नहीं यार वो तो बहुत, that's just too hard.
That's just too hard, and it's for the oldies. It's
Yeah,
not for
but
me.
what you don't understand is that meditation isn't about sitting and blocking your thoughts, because you can't do that. It's impossible as a human being to block your mind from thinking. What mindfulness teaches you is to not go away where your thoughts want you to go. You have to keep bringing them back, saying here and now, here and now, here and now. And that, I think, is really a single line I can tell every single person to live by, here and now, because that is all that you can control. That is all that you can do is here and now. You cannot go back to the past. Honestly, I feel a lot of us just spend so much time dwelling on the past or being anxious about the future, and we really forget to enjoy what we're being given in the present. And I feel that is one of the primary reasons that a lot of us tend to escape happiness. We're in the pursuit of it, but we actually forget to enjoy it because we're always saying, oh, if it was like that, then I wonder if it'll be like that in the future. But you have to keep on seeing where you are right now. And I feel that that is something that needs to be inculcated in, like you said, in everyone, irrespective of their age, their gender, their socioeconomic status, their privilege, their lack of it, because literally all of us can just about control our present. So I feel that that is something that I keep reminding myself, because my career is, like I said, there have been days when there's been work, then there have been days when there's been no work, and the anxiety of all of that can become fairly debilitating. So to keep telling yourself that I'm okay for now, and that is really the best I can do, and I should be grateful for it, because I think one of the biggest lessons that we all learned in 2020 is we're all so fragile.
Correct.
Right? So I think that is my practice, and that is one of the reasons why I went on to study it, so that I may be able to teach it to other people. And I am currently working towards building workshops for children in schools. I want to start doing workshops in corporates, because I feel that the moment you become mindful, you actually end up increasing your lifespan, because you're living moments for much longer. And that is really one of the best ways to keep yourself mentally sound, keep yourself mentally centered, and genuinely just savor life.
Correct.
So
speaking of resilience, I'm sure that you have a million examples, but if one example had to outshine the others, could you share that with us, where you decided to take a stand for your mental health, and which was a testament to your inner strength?
So to be honest, again, I think I I've been very lucky. My job has been largely stress-free. I've had wonderful working environments. I've worked with great people on great shows. I've thoroughly enjoyed what I've done, and I still do. But I remember one particular incident. I was hosting an event in Goa, and I remember the crowd being rather unruly. So I remember there was a female performer who was, I feel, not being treated with the kind of respect one should give an artist. And I tried multiple times to sort of, temper the crowd, but they just kept getting more and more out of hand. And it started to really bother me because I was getting very upset with the way they were treating this particular woman. And sadly, she was not in a position to take a stand for herself. But not that I could stop her because she was there out of free will. But for me, the moment it became something that I was not being able to just stand and witness and do nothing about, it has probably been the only time in my career that I have walked off stage, gone backstage, handed over my mic and my cue cards and told the organizers that I'm really sorry. I will not be able to continue with this event, and I left. And I remember I went up to my room and I cried and I cried and I cried because I had so much anger.
Pent up anger.
And I was so upset because I understood that while this girl was doing what she wanted to do, I know the kind of struggles that women have gone through in my line of work. I know what has happened. I know their compulsions. I know they've had to smile through a lot of unsavory comments, misbehaviors. And I think all of that kind of just came out on its own. And it was weird because I cried, I picked up the phone, I spoke to a girlfriend of mine, and I said, will you help me make an all women's platform? Because I want to have a festival that celebrates women, where they should feel safe, where they should feel empowered. And my friend Gulpanag and I created festival out of that very unsavory instance. So funnily enough, when I look back at it, it served a purpose. So for whatever it was, however unpleasant, I think it gave birth to something that has been such a topic of pride and joy for both me and Gul, that I've said, okay, maybe that experience was also necessary. So I think being able to acknowledge that everything that happens to us is for a reason, and it may not make sense right now, but it will make sense to you, is another way to just learn how to relinquish control on things. And I think the more you start doing that, the easier you'll see it'll become for you to tread life. The more you start letting go of control.
Correct.
So I really feel those are the things that I have tried to imbibe, and now I think thankfully they've become good habits.
Yeah.
And I hope to continue them into the future.
So on that note, is there a parting word of wisdom that you would like to share with our audience onto how can they imbibe consciousness into their daily lives? How can they be more resilient, and how can especially women stand up for themselves? This was a very inspiring incident, of course, but how to find just just to tell them that no is a complete sentence. Maybe we can start from there. So
yes, no is a complete sentence, and when you're in doubt, I think the answer is mostly no. So you should know that. If you're not saying yes, then the answer is, if you're saying I'm not sure, the answer is mostly going to be a no.
True.
And yes, it's a complete sentence with a full stop, maybe sometimes with an exclamation mark.
True.
But I think the two sentences that I've carried with me through the years that have been my guiding light are from a film that I deeply, deeply admire and I have watched a million times and has been my philosophy. It's called The Matrix, and there are two sentences in it that have stayed with me forever, and one of them is free your mind and the other is let it go. And that is all I will leave for the audience. Freeing your mind and letting things go is the easiest way to travel light through life. So try and do that.
Yes, that is such a wonderful words of wisdom that you have shared with us today, and I can't thank you enough for taking time out today and spending your afternoon with us. It was truly well spent.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.